knuckle there, no big deal. But then when Obama got elected, it's like all these brass knuckle political artists just kind of disappeared. I mean, I saw Robbie Connell. He was painting fucking owls. And I'm like, what?
Robbie Connell, a famous political street artist who was super active during the Bush years.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, Obama's dropping hellfire missiles on wedding parties, and you're painting fucking owls. What happened to you? And that's when I knew that they weren't hellfire political artists, they were liberal artists.
So you brought hellfire to the Obama years.
And it's like, that's a problem. And it's also a problem that you have one of me here, and I assure you, neither one of you voted for a Republican ever. And that's just a small sample of what's going on out there in the art world. Basically, you have the whole story. Unfortunately, only half of it's being told. Because for some strange ass reason, when some kid decides he wants to be a creative, they're pretty much pushed towards the left. And you know, they just want to flip their parents off, they just want to flip authority off, because they just left an existence where they were told what to do throughout the entire youth, and the left is right there to grab them. And it's like they indoctrinate the shit out of them, and before you know it, 98% of the artists lean left, and the indoctrination just gets worse and worse.
Do you like pissing people off?
You know, someone once said, I don't know who it is, but sometimes just telling the truth pisses people off.
Well, how do you feel when people react to your work saying, I'm offended, I think it's wrong, I don't think that those kinds of images should be in public?
Well, when I was growing up, the left, they were the ones that said, fuck you. They were the ones with thick skin. They were the ones that rebelled. Now all of a sudden the left is a bunch of panty waste. It's like everything fucking offends them. Everything hurts their fucking feelings. It's like you run across a black dude and he's like, Arr! You know, it's like, dude, the only cotton you ever picked is out of your fucking closet. It's like no one's out to kill you. Get some skills. Get a fucking job. Quit blaming people.
That's super racist.
No, it's not. It's a fact.
Oh, yeah,
no, it's a fact. And it's like you can't have a conversation with the leftist. Because
that's not left or right. It's actually just super racist.
A leftist will shut you down.
I'm a leftist and I'm not shutting you down, but I'm just letting you know it's super racist.
Go to Berkeley. I was just at Berkeley, and let me tell you, from top to bottom, the place is run by the left.
All right. Michael, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Michael,
yes.
You also produce visual art that is meant for street consumption. Tell me about the project that you're working on. I would say that you and Sabo are both, you're very provocative, but you're on completely opposite ends of the political spectrum. So it was nice to see you both talking backstage to each other. Maybe there's a...
Well, you could disagree and still be civil.
Yes, you can.
And I think our current president could learn from that, as a matter of fact. I mean, a lot of things offend me also. And what they are is the hate-mongering and misinformation and a lot of that right there, the lies. And so my job is to challenge people to think more deeply about social, political issues. And it's gotten a lot more difficult in the last, 6 months, you know. And
why is it more difficult?
Why much more difficult? Because there's so much more misinformation out there now. Donald Trump has actually turned actual citizens, masses of regular folk into activists.
Which they should have in the past 8 years.
But there was less to rebel against.
No, there wasn't. They just didn't have the strength to rebel against the first black president because they knew leftists would turn on them and call them racist.
I don't think being black has anything to do with being president. I mean, so what? He's black. I mean, that shouldn't be an issue. It seems like the right is raising the issue of color.
Well, you're sounding like a Republican.
Well, that's the worst thing I've ever heard, but... listen, Trump is so under the thumb of Putin. If you look at Putin's thumbprint, you'll see Trump's face on it. So the thing that you wanted to ask me about is what's my current project. Well, what I do is I create campaigns. So I have done a painting that is called The Elephant in the Room. What I'm concerned at is not just our president, but the Republican-led Congress, who are the only people who can, with the power to impeach him, are just ignoring that fact. So I did a painting where I have, it's somewhat provocative, where Trump is kneeling before Putin, and before him are the Republican Party represented by Mitch McConnell, an elephant, and Paul Ryan. And they're in the classic position of see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil, which is what they're doing. Had Trump been a Democrat, he would have been impeached 6 months ago. So what I'm doing is I want to take that piece of artwork, I want to put that on 20-foot mobile billboards with the line, country first, impeach. And I want to rent a whole fleet of them to go around the Capitol building for a week and send the message to them to be patriots, not partisan. So that's the kind of thing that I do with my art. I've taken my art to different protests, and it has given protesters a focal point to unite under, and that has also helped.
So, Hanif, I want to ask you,
yes,
you're from
a black man who has skills, it turns out.
Oh, you got me! Have you ever put that back in the field?
Hey, you know what? I'm going to ask you to show some respect to your fellow panelists.
You can attack me, but I can attack you.
That's not an attack, okay? This is...
That's what he meant it by?
All right, if you're going to insult Hanif,
Look,
you can step out. There's a difference between sharing your ideas...
Okay, did you just
and
ask me to step the fuck out?
There's a difference between sharing
I'll
your
step the
ideas
fuck
and...
out.
Well, then do.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
I'd like for the rest of the room to note that our panelist wasn't kicked out, but the ground rules here are that you don't get to insult a fellow panelist with racist insults. That is the ground rule, and I will not shut up because I got the damn mic. How do you stay sane with that shit out in the open more and more and more?
Because all I gotta say is I'm a black man who has attained skills, and that happens.
But what Sabo was doing was he was following the leader of America, okay? He was following Trump's way that he does things. Total disrespect for anyone who he disagrees with.
Can we just give a round of applause to Hanif for taking that for as long as it was, 2 minutes? I can't believe the
I'm so sorry. It's just super fucked up and not okay. It's not okay, and it upsets me.
I'm still here, and he's not.
What's that?
I'm still here, and he's not.
I appreciate it, and I would have welcomed Sabo staying with us and talking with us about his ideas without verbally assaulting the man sitting right next to him without looking him in the eye. That's not okay. I didn't come here to watch verbal abuse. I came here to have a civil discussion with people, some of whom I might disagree with or be from a different culture from. So,
now we can have
does anyone
some
want
discussion.
some sage? Can I get some sage found in here? All right. How do we bring civility and courtesy and respect for each other as human beings back into creative discussions like the one we're having right now? How do we do that?
I think just by doing it, it is a bummer. I spent all day here at Politicon, and I went to a bunch of panels that were, all Republicans. I saw panels that it felt like rooms were really evenly matched. This room is not evenly matched, but...
To the conservative guy, I'm sorry if you left. You were welcome.
He did leave.
Okay, well, maybe he was a friend of Sabo, but they both would have been welcome.
So, yeah, and what I found is that sometimes there were people that would stand up on both sides and really want to have a discussion with each other that felt like it was substantive, and they wanted to actually listen to and hear the other side of what was being said. And then sometimes there were people, even that I super disagreed with, that were spouting off all kinds of things that I kind of couldn't believe. And then when the crowd boos them, before you can hear them, really upset me. It kind of bummed me out. It's like, what is the point of even being here and without leading by example of let's be able to have a discourse and just make an attempt. Everybody has a bubble and a worldview, and part of the point of this, I think, is to try to run up against those and learn something from everybody else.
Well, I have to say that Sabo and I were talking for a good hour in the green room, and he was very civil and I was very civil. So in his defense, which it's hard to do, I'm not sure why he acted that way now, but we had a great conversation. And I've been on Glenn Beck, who is a little controversial and a little out there sometimes, and he started to insult me at the beginning, was the idea. But I found common ground and I didn't take the bait going into the Lion's Den. And we wound up having a very good conversation on air where he actually admitted to some things that I don't think he normally would. I took the wind out of his sails by not taking the bait, and it turned out to be a good thing. So maybe that's how you do it.
Do you feel like Do you feel when you're coming out with your art, when you're doing what you need to do, like the environment is more unsafe or more hostile now than it was a year ago?
Absolutely.
Also,
Just because I really believe the tone that Trump has set has given permission for racists to be racist. And it's okay, it's acceptable all of a sudden, because like a company or a family, you tend to follow the leader. The pack follows the leader. And if he could be president and he could be a pussy grabber, he could be, excuse me, I would have never said that, a year ago. But he's made it okay. That's a perfect example. And to be a racist and to tell policemen that they should be rougher on people and to tell Boy Scouts to give them all the wrong messages, it's a little scary.
What do you think? Do you find the world more open or less? In what trajectory?
Less sure, but what happened up here would have happened to me maybe 2 years ago. I mean, I do think that you're right. There's a tone of empowerment that comes with the territory of having a president who openly, kind of verbally assails people without much recourse. But I do think the provocateur is the provocateur,
provocateur isn't the same thing as being a racist dick.
But I think the bridge there is small.
Sorry, what was that?
I think the bridge there, I think it's a small bridge. It's a small bridge from one to the other. And
also, I would love to hear you explain more.
All it takes is a person who would normally say only things on the internet to feel slightly empowered before they say them out loud in a public forum.
That's true.
Right?
So it's like after Trump was elected, all the commenters came to life.
Yeah,
I feel like that.
And it's a small amount, right? And so I think the work of at least my art, which is primarily the written word. The written word allows me space, and it allows me a freedom to hopefully build empathy and to make, if there is in fact a short bridge between provocateur and horrible racist, I would hope that there is also a short bridge between someone who is marginalized and someone willing to understand their story. And I think the work of my writing is to bring that closer. I mean, I'm from Ohio, and I grew up in a poor community that was mostly black, and it took a long time for me to understand the plight, and I talked about this on the panel yesterday, of poor people who were not black, like rural poverty, which is in Ohio a very big problem. And I would not have done that without the work of artists from those places writing about their lives, right? And so I think there's a lot of work that we can do to shorten the bridges between us.
Art really can be a tool of empathy, can it?
Oh, absolutely. I did a short film called Black Injustice America, and I went to different protests with my art, and I interviewed, and it was a learning experience. And
when you say you went to different protests, were some of them, were you in different camps?
the Freddie Gray protest, I handed out posters and all for that. And what made that different was that it was a white guy doing it, you know. And I did this paint, well, I did this paint here called.
Stand up so the audience can see it.
You can see it.
What does it say?
It's called A Tale of Two Hoodies. A Tale of Two Hoodies. And what I got a lot of articles written about it because the white man was actually learning and questioning that racism is it possibly still alive today in this time. And,
Gee, is it?
and yeah, I was quite. Well, the Supreme Court said it was dead, and that's why they gutted the Civil Rights Act. So I just wanted to find out, and I took it to the streets. But the response from the African American community was very, very positive. That a white person could show empathy, and the film shows my learning curve, and it interviews a lot of the people that I was learning when I went out there to these protests. I was shocked that I was talking to these people who were beat up by the cops and everybody I spoke to almost on that street, I was shocked. It was a reality that I didn't experience, and I think if I could share that with white audiences, that film, that's what I want to do, and teach them that of a whole different reality that I didn't know about and that they don't know about.
You know, we were all chatting backstage. This is basically a continuation of our backstage conversation, because these guys are all so interesting. Okay, so artists and bands always tend to move